December 21st, 1872. Silverdale Colliery, Newcastle-under-Lyme, Staffordshire. Sheriff Pitt had been graded as one of England's safest coal mines until the day the earth let its poison out. 350 men went down into the Bullhurst seam at 8 a.m., their safety lamps casting homely shadows on the walls of black coal. The air was fresh-tasting. The ventilation fans puffed easily above. Everything had been done to take care. Then the mine started breathing. James Jennings, a collier half a mile from the central pit, was the first to hear it. A hissing gurgle, such as if the earth itself were drawing breath. The air thickened and cloyed, and possessed an unfamiliar odor he had been accustomed to 12 years beneath the earth. Within a few minutes, 8 men were dead. Not by explosion, not by fire, not by the dreaded fire damp that miners feared. They were killed by something else, a gas so unusual that mining engineers didn't even have a name for it. The workers who approached the pit eye stumbled, said they saw their colleagues just freeze in the middle of a word, their lamps still alight, their equipment still clutched. One was in conversation. The next, they fell dead on the ground as if the air itself was poisonous. Mine manager Thomas Lucas went down at once with engineer F.S. Sutton. What he saw violated every safety procedure in the manual. The bodies were scattered along the Bullhurst seam, not crowded close together as they would have been had they fallen victims to an explosion, but scattered about their workings as if death had stumbled among them like a cloud. They were unscathed, unhurt, unviolated. They lay asleep, but 12 miners working nearby had a different tale to tell. They described an invisible wave that traveled through the tunnels, a force they felt but not a sight, with an unnatural sweetness that reeled their heads and shadowed their eyes. Victorian mining journals would ultimately call it white damp, an unusual atmospheric phenomenon that was observed in less than a dozen known occurrences all over Britain. Unlike methane-rich fire damp or carbon monoxide afterdamp, which followed explosions, white damp provided no warning and left no residue. The gas was so thick that it forced the rescuers to retreat after several minutes of exposure. Their descriptions are of a paralyzing feeling of drowsiness, followed by a euphoric sense of unreality. Those who stayed too long simply collapsed in the tunnels and never woke up. Dr. Edmund Frankland, the foremost mine gas expert of the day, came from there to London to make an inquiry. He analyzed samples of air drawn from the Bullhurst seam and found infinitesimal compounds that shouldn't be present at such depths, gases of the atmosphere that shouldn't be found 500 feet below. His 30-year sealed report was one terrifying conclusion. The earth itself seems to have breathed a breath intended to destroy human life. The inquest concluded the deaths to be accidental, caused by atmospheric poisoning of an unknown nature. The Bullhurst seam was closed forever, its entrance being bricked up with a plain inscription. Here, 8 men met their end by forces beyond understanding. But the questions plagued the mining industry for decades. What had it been which had caused the earth to exhale so deadly a breath? Why had it attacked that morning, in that very tunnel, taking those 8 lives so quietly and surgically? Silverdale Colliery persisted until 1912, but the miners would not extract the deeper seams. They warned each other of hearing the mine breathe on quiet nights, and of sensing an unseen presence in the tunnel, something enormous and old that slumbered beneath their feet. 8 men descended into the ground on honest December morning in 1872. The mine exhaled, and they never came home. Some poisons leave no trace. Some killers leave no trail. Some deaths must be blamed on the inexplicable. Subscribe to the Midnight Whispers for true horror drawn from dusty shelves, one unforgettable story, one spooked night. Dare join us?